Heracles, born to the mighty Zeus and the mortal woman Alcmene, was destined for greatness from birth. However, his life was marked not just by extraordinary feats of strength, but by the wrath of a goddess, Hera, wife of Zeus. Hera's hatred for Heracles wasn't just born from jealousy over Zeus's infidelity, but from the threat he posed to her divine authority. Despite being the son of Zeus, Heracles was mortal, yet his strength and destiny set him apart. Hera's fury was further fueled by a specific prophecy. Heracles would be greater than any other hero. For a goddess whose power was unrivaled among the Olympians, the idea that a mortal child could eclipse the might of her divine progeny was an affront she couldn't tolerate. Hera's vendetta began early in Heracles' life, when she sent 2 serpents to kill him in his cradle. But even as a baby, Heracles showed his indomitable spirit, strangling the serpents with his bare hands. This defiance would mark the beginning of a long and tumultuous relationship between the two. Over the years, Hera's schemes only grew more malicious. She sent madness to cloud his mind, which led him to murder his own children, a tragedy that would haunt Heracles for the rest of his life. Seeking redemption for this heinous act, Heracles consulted the Oracle of Delphi, who directed him to King Eurystheus, the man who would impose the 12 labors upon him. These tasks were not merely a punishment, but a test of his strength, endurance, and resilience, qualities that would define his heroism. The labors were Hera's final attempt to destroy Heracles, to force him into a series of impossible feats, hoping to break his spirit and prove that no mortal could defy the will of the gods. Heracles was not any longer the prince of the island, but the world's greatest mastermind. The first 3 labors were formative challenges, each representing a crucial aspect of Heracles' character and his journey toward maturity. Heracles' first challenge was to slay the Nemean lion, a beast so fearsome that its fur could not be pierced by any weapon. At first, Heracles relied solely on his immense strength, charging at the lion with a sword and spear. But the lion's skin proved invulnerable to all his attacks. Here, Heracles learned an important lesson. Force alone would not be enough. His cleverness became his greatest weapon. Instead of continuing to struggle with his weapons, he used his bare hands to strangle the beast, proving that even the strongest enemies must sometimes be defeated with more than just raw power. This victory also marked the start of a recurring theme in Heracles' labors. Thinking outside the box, stripping the lion's skin with its own claws, he donned it as a cloak, making himself both a symbol of strength and a reminder that the greatest challenges often require more than just physical prowess. Heracles' second labor would test his ability to adapt and think strategically. He was tasked with slaying the Ceryneian Hydra, a monstrous serpent with multiple heads that grew back twice as many when severed. Initially, Heracles fought the Hydra with force, cutting off its heads one by one. But each time he struck, 2 more heads grew in their place. The situation seemed hopeless, a mirror of his own inner turmoil. His rage, his need for vengeance, was now a trap that threatened to consume him. But in this moment of frustration, Heracles' wisdom shone through. With the help of his nephew Iolaus, he realized that he could cauterize the stumps after cutting off each head, preventing them from regenerating. By working together and using strategy, Heracles was not only able to slay the Hydra, but also gained a profound understanding of the balance between strength and intellect. This labor symbolized resilience, teaching him that even in the face of overwhelming odds, patience and strategy could win the day. Heracles' third labor, to capture the Ceryneian Hind, was unlike any other. The hind was swift, elusive, and sacred to Artemis, the goddess of the hunt. To succeed, Heracles had to rely on his patience and restraint rather than force. He spent an entire year chasing the creature across vast landscapes, learning the value of persistence and self-control. This labor required Heracles to master not only the hunt, but also the art of restraint. Instead of killing the creature, Heracles was tasked with capturing it alive, marking a moment of growth. He realized that being a hero wasn't always about brute force. Sometimes it was about understanding when to act and when to hold back. The labor taught him the importance of patience, a trait that would serve him well in the more grueling trials to come. As Heracles journeyed deeper into the trials, the tasks grew increasingly difficult and supernatural. These labors tested not just his strength, but his ability to navigate the divine realms, his relationship with the gods, and his growing moral compass. The Eramathian boar was a terrifying creature that ravaged the region of Erymanthus. In capturing it, Heracles displayed not only his brute force, but also his growing understanding of nature. By tracking the boar through harsh terrain and driving it into deep snow, he subdued it with both strategy and strength. This labor was a pivotal moment in Heracles' development. He began to see himself as more than just a warrior. He was becoming a protector of the natural world, someone capable of taming the wild through intelligence and respect for the forces around him. The Augean stables were so filthy that they had not been cleaned in over 30 years. The task seemed impossible, a test of Herculean endurance. But instead of simply working harder, Heracles thought outside the box. He diverted 2 rivers to wash away the filth in a single day, demonstrating that ingenuity could overcome even the most insurmountable challenges. This labor marked a turning point, showing that true strength often lies in creative problem-solving, not just physical might. The Stymphalian birds were vicious creatures with metallic feathers that could pierce flesh. To defeat them, Heracles used a rattle given to him by Athena to frighten them into the air, where he shot them down with arrows. This labor showed that Heracles was no longer just a brute force warrior. He had become a strategist who could harness the power of tools and divine gifts. The labor also reinforced the lesson that wisdom and adaptability were just as important as strength. As the labors drew to a close, Heracles faced even greater challenges, tasks that pitted him against not just monsters, but the very gods themselves. These trials were no longer about proving his strength. They were about confronting his fate and his inner demons, showing that even a hero of Heracles' caliber could be tested by the forces of destiny. The Cretan bull was a powerful creature sent by Poseidon, a god with whom Heracles had a fraught relationship. In taming the bull, Heracles not only demonstrated his physical strength, but also his ability to challenge the gods. His victory over this beast symbolized his growing defiance against the forces of nature and divine will. Heracles was no longer just a hero seeking redemption. He was becoming a figure who would shape his own destiny. The mares of Diomedes, wild horses that fed on human flesh, represented the dark side of Heracles' journey. To tame them, he had to confront his own darkness, his violent tendencies, his rage, and his willingness to sacrifice to achieve his goals. By feeding Diomedes to the horses, Heracles symbolically overcame his own inner demons, demonstrating that sometimes victory requires making hard, morally ambiguous choices. The belt of Hippolyta, the Amazonian queen, was a unique labor. Rather than using force, Heracles had to negotiate with Hippolyta and the Amazons to obtain the magical belt. This task marked a turning point in his character arc, where strength alone was not enough. Here, diplomacy and compromise were just as important as combat prowess. Heracles learned that to be a truly great hero, one must possess a range of skills, not just physical power, but wisdom and understanding of others. The cattle of Geryon were guarded by a three-bodied monster who represented the ultimate obstacle. Heracles had to cross the treacherous lands of the far west, enduring great hardship and discomfort to retrieve the cattle. This labor symbolized Heracles' ability to endure the extremes of existence and journey through life's darkest moments. It was a reminder that sometimes the greatest feats of heroism require the hero to endure suffering and loneliness. The golden apples of the Hesperides, guarded by Atlas, posed an immense challenge. This task was not only about physical strength, but also about wisdom and negotiation. Heracles had to outsmart Atlas, one of the Titans, in order to retrieve the apples. This labor represented the culmination of Heracles' journey, where he had to use his intellect and resourcefulness to overcome seemingly insurmountable odds. The final labor, capturing Cerberus, the three-headed dog guarding the gates of the Underworld, was the ultimate confrontation with death and fate. Heracles had to enter the very realm of the dead, a place no mortal had ever returned from. This labor symbolized his ultimate triumph over the forces that sought to destroy him. It marked the end of his trials and his ascension to a higher plane, both physically and spiritually. In capturing Cerberus, Heracles did not just demonstrate his physical power, he demonstrated his ability to defy death itself. Heracles' 12 labors are a reflection of the hero's inner journey, his struggle with divine forces, and his constant growth in the face of overwhelming odds. From brutal battles to moral dilemmas, Heracles' story is a timeless reminder of the complexity of heroism. Through each labor, he learns that true strength lies not only in overcoming physical challenges, but in mastering himself and learning from his experiences. What are the labors you're tackling in your own life? Whether they are personal or professional, what strength and resilience will you draw upon to overcome them? Share your thoughts and join the discussion. Subscribe for more stories of mythological heroes and epic journeys.